Hey, good morning, Facebook family. Happy Monday. It is a Monday. I am in my home. There is no construction happening, and I am as happy as could possibly be about that. It's a good Monday. So I haven't made a live video in a while, and typically on the weekends I don't make one because I'm spending so much of my time at the spa. And then when I come home, it's my only time that I get to spend one-on-one time with my family, meaning my son and my husband together. So I dedicate that time for them. But during the week, I really try to hop on live, at least for a few minutes, and share some nuggets of wisdom that could be useful to you. And this particular live video, it was a request from a good friend of mine whose name is Beth. And she's my success partner as well. And we are always, what I feel is encouraging each other to expand our awareness. And good morning, Maria. And be better human beings as well as better partners to each other. So she asked me if I would make a video on listening to your body, given that I'm a massage therapist and I work a lot with bodies, and I'm also a coach, and I have a high level of understanding and respect for the human body and how it works. I said yes, so this morning happens to be the perfect environment for me to make this video. And the more I thought about this idea of listening to our bodies, the more I realized that so many of the problems that we experience, as far as like going into the wrong relationships, going into the wrong careers, and by wrong, I simply mean ones that don't really speak to your heart. You can't really make a mistake on the earthly plane. Good morning, Jen. But whenever you pursue something that doesn't really have your heart or doesn't really speak to you, whether it's a marriage, a relationship, a job, a hobby, or whatever, you just kind of get pulled into something and it doesn't really speak to you. I'm realizing more and more that that actually happens as a result of not being able to listen to our bodies, because our body is a barometer. And if you've ever read A Course in Miracles, they talk a lot about that. The body is like an antenna. It's a huge antenna. And when you are facing a decision or in a situation or making a food choice, it goes from as simple as, do I eat this, do I not eat this, to as big as, do I take this job, do I not take this job. Your body is this kind of genius mechanism of communicating to you instinctual truth or knowledge. The problem is that we have come so separated from that knowingness, internal knowingness, that we get really wrapped up in our mind games. And one of the greatest assets we have as a species is the fact that we can think and we can analyze and we have a higher brain capacity. Hey Dan, yes. But it's also one of our greatest setbacks that we have such a high thinking capacity, because that takes us really out of our gut feeling of being able to listen to the barometer that is our body. So I'm going to give you a series of circumstances, and I'm sure you've probably been in them and you know exactly what this feels like. So you get an invitation to go to a party or a gathering or something. And for whatever reason, you just don't want to go. When you think about going, you get like a pit in your stomach and you feel really uncomfortable and you don't want to go. But you feel bad and you don't want to say no to whoever invited you. So you go anyways. More likely, what happens when you show up is you end up not having a great time. Or something happens, like a situation goes down, or something happens you feel really uncomfortable in, and then you realize that feeling was kind of like a forewarning. It was a natural forewarning for you to not participate in whatever that was. I'll give you another example. Eating, right? Nutrition is a big one for me. So you are planning your meals for the morning, or you're making breakfast or lunch or whatever, and you're like, well, how much of this carb should I eat, right? And you already have a portion of carb on your plate, but you're considering whether or not you take that one on. I firmly believe that if you just stopped for 2 seconds making that decision and thought in your body, how does this feel in my body to imagine eating another one of this? You would get an immediate ping. An immediate something comes up, either no, I don't want to do this, or yes, I do want to do this. But it's so fast and it's so subtle that unless you're really paying attention, you're going to miss it. So a lot of our unconscious behavior happens as a result of missing that fleeting message that gets sent to us. It's very, very fast. And if you're not really paying attention, it's going to fly right by you. And the same goes with interacting with people or dating, or when you think of a circumstance, when you think of a job, when you think of a relationship, when you think of a meal or a food or a treat that you want to give yourself, how does it feel immediately when you have that thought? What happens in your body? There's an immediate correlation that happens because your body is constantly measuring out for you. It's constantly being that barometer for you of whether something is a good idea or a bad idea. But if we don't pay attention to that immediate hit, we talk ourselves out of whatever we've experienced, and we can rationalize everything. Listen to me when I say this. We can rationalize everything. And if you're not careful, you will rationalize yourself to the grave. And that is not even an exaggeration of this mechanism. We are so smart. We can take something that we know is not good for us and make sense of it somehow. I don't even know how we do that, but we do. Because that's the cognitive level that we're at, that we can actually do that. So we have to really, really be intentional about holding ourselves accountable and paying attention to that dialogue that happens between our thoughts and the immediate imprint in our bodies. And it's, like I said, it's so subtle. I don't know if you guys have ever heard of The Alchemist. If you've never heard of The Alchemist, it's a book and it's written by Paulo Coelho, and you should definitely read that book. It's an amazing book. It's a very quick read, a fantastic story. He's a great storyteller. But more than that, it's such a message about life. And in it, he talks about, the voice of your heart, and how the voice of your heart is so quiet. It's so still that if you're not paying attention, you miss it. And that in the book, the young boy whose name is Santiago, which was my son is named after him, he gets to a point, he's in a situation where he feels confused and he feels scared. And he says to the alchemist, well, how do I know? What do I do? And the alchemist says, just be quiet and listen to your heart. But you have to be very quiet. Your heart always knows the answer. Always knows the answer. 110,000% that is true. So does your body. Your body always knows. Your body is this wisdom, inexplicable wisdom mechanism that is so, the way that we are wired is so ancient, and it's so hardwired in us to have this immediate gut sense of things. And in our culture, we don't value our gut sense. We don't value this idea that we have an immediate intuition about things, because we don't understand that not only is our nervous system in our brain, I'm going to throw some science at you, but we have a third component to our nervous system in our gut. It's called the enteric system, okay? Our gut, are you ready for this? Just listen to this real quick. Our gut is responsible for approximately 95% of the serotonin creation in our body. 95%. Do you know what serotonin is responsible for? Feeling happy. Let me just drop that right there for a second. Your gut is 95% plus responsible for the neurotransmitters that create a feeling of happiness and well-being in your body. This ties back to why gut health is so important. Gut flora is crazy important, because when your gut is out of whack, when you're eating stuff that goes against the health of your gut, when you're not on probiotics, when you're not on superfoods, when you're not on phytonutrients, and your gut is suffering, you suffer the amount of serotonin that you produce, which creates waves of depression and this idea of constant depression and anxiety. And this is why lately in medicine, there's been such an emphasis on gut. There's been such an emphasis. Yes, Beth, that explains a lot. Yes, there's been such an emphasis on what we eat and how we eat. Because if you're not eating well, I can guarantee you that you are going to suffer from higher bouts of depression and anxiety than someone who's feeding their body what works well for their body. I'm getting chills as I'm saying this, because this is groundbreaking, you guys. Like if more people understood how significant this is, how much less pill pushing would we really have? And this is not to say that there are definitely times when having an antidepressant is appropriate for people. I'm definitely not downplaying that. But I'm saying that so much of our general mental well-being depends on the health of our gut and cultivating the health of our gut. The healthier your gut is, the better relationship your body has in general. The more well-being you have, the more centered you feel, the lower the incidence of depression and anxiety. And so, first and foremost, it's about fixing your gut, right? If you have a leaky gut, if you don't have probiotics in your diet, Monica, thanks. If you don't have probiotics in your diet, if you don't have a healthy relationship with nutrition, the first thing y'all need to do before you attempt to listen to your body is really fix the gut. And you know if you haven't taken care of your gut, if you've been, putting it off, eating things that don't feel right, you always have acid reflux, you always have gas, you have constipation. Let me put it to you this way. I had a conversation with a client the other day, a massage client, and she had marked constipation on her chart. So I said to her, is this like a regular thing? Do you often have constipation? She's like, well, if I'll just eat some salad and drink water, I won't, but I don't. So she would rather live with constipation. Think about that for a second, you guys. Someone would rather live with the feeling of constant constipation, which is so painful and is a message from your body that something is not working well, than eat a couple green things and drink a glass of water. That doesn't make any sense. Like, it really doesn't. We need to start valuing taking care of ourselves first and foremost before you attempt to listen to the body. You need to just care. Really. You need to care that your body is a messenger and that it's trying to tell you something. Because what I find is more often than not, people know what they need. They just don't care. They literally would rather not value the health of their body than the taste of something or the immediate gratification of something, which to me is such a dissonance in like priorities, but that's a whole other video. Anyways, first you need to take care of your body. You need to put your gut into a place of health. You need to align yourself with appropriate nutrition. And then when you're eating what is actually good for you, what is actually going to feed you nutrition, you can start to develop this kind of listening to the body sense. Because my feeling is before you fix your gut, before you take care of that, you're going to be in pain all of the time. You're going to be uncomfortable all of the time. You're going to have gas all the time, acid reflux all the time, you're tired all the time, you're depressed all the time, and you're not going to understand how to listen to your body because there's all this noise happening on the inside of your body. So first and foremost, fix your gut. Clean up your nutrition, clean up your diet, put some good probiotics into your diet. If you need help with that, definitely message me. I can totally help you with that. One of the main reasons I love Shakeology is because it has such a heavy dose of probiotics. It helps me take care of my gut with one of my meals a day. It's an easy way to take care of my gut. But you have to do that with food for the rest of your day too. You can't just depend on one thing. It has to be consistent. So number one is clean up how you eat. When you start doing that, you're going to notice that your sensitivity in your body increases and you will suddenly become much more aware of what works and what doesn't work for your body. Have you ever heard of the elimination diet? I'm sure you know someone who's done it, right? Or the Whole30, went on the Whole30, lost a ton of weight, eliminated a bunch of processed food. Maria, starting is the hardest. I really start every week. Yes, it is. It is hard. So starting is really hard. But I really want you to hear me on this, that the body is so sensitive if you let it be sensitive. And like I was saying, people who have gone on the Whole30 and have done an elimination diet, have taken out a bunch of stuff from their diet, when they reintroduce that stuff, they have become so sensitive as a result of cleansing the body of those things that if they do have a sensitivity for something, it's automatic and it's crazy. Like hives, swelling, insane. Whereas before, they didn't have that experience. They just didn't feel great. Or they were 40 pounds overweight or whatever. It was a much more generalized feeling, although still uncomfortable, than once they cleansed their entire diet and then reintroduced the thing. And then they had this really dramatic, crazy reaction. I hear that all the time, especially with gluten. People who have a gluten sensitivity and they don't know, they just don't feel real good. And they take it out of their diet and they bring it back and it's like full body hives. And they're like, what happened? because you cleaned up your gut and you got your gut back to a place of stable and healthy. And now it can appropriately read what works and what doesn't work for it. So the first step is you have to cleanse. The first step is you have to take the stuff out of your diet that's not working for you. Clean out your gut. The second part of that then is, as you begin to introduce food, and I'm speaking strictly about food, but this goes for every area of your life. As you begin to introduce food, notice how you feel. Just doesn't take long. Eat it, I feel a little bloated. I notice it right away. As soon as I eat something and I feel bloated, I'm like, yep, gut feels a little distended. Or, man, I'm really thirsty. Or, dang, I have a headache suddenly. I didn't have a headache before. These minor things that happen once you ingest something, it's communication to you that your body is thriving with something or not. If you have a ton of energy after you eat it or you don't, etc., etc., etc. And it goes the same for life situations. Your body is a barometer. When you think about taking a job, when you think about marrying a certain person, when you think about, put yourself in that position and see how your body feels. If your body feels closed, reclusive, not in the stomach, resistance, it is not a good sign. You do not want to do that thing. Don't do it. If you feel excited, open, curious, maybe a little bit nervous, but the kind of nervous that's like, I want to know more, and you feel naturally more open and more curious, that's a sign that you want to move towards that thing. Anything that makes you feel open, expansive, excited, that's a yes. Anything that makes you feel closed off, scared, not in your stomach, tight, that's a no. That's very simple body communication. Beth, wish I had learned this before my first and second marriages. Right? Yeah, wish I had too. That would have helped me with a ton. But, you know, there's a reason things come into our lives at a certain time and not. And I feel like when I learned this, it made so much sense to me. Like all these situations I've been in the past. And I no longer allow myself to get pressured into something, which is the third part of what I want to say. This idea that we do things out of obligation or when we really, really don't want to do them, be very careful with that, you guys. I know that we all have these family ties and we don't want to disappoint our family, but there's a very fine line between you overstepping your personal integrity, your body's comfort zone, your energy's comfort zone, and you just being with the family. There's like a super fine line, and you guys have to really know where that line is. And furthermore, once you begin to understand your body and your body's communication method to you, once you have a couple of those call and responses and it begins to make sense to you, suddenly when you don't do something or you do something, the guilt aspect of that thing sort of disappears because you understand that what you're doing is correlating or having a relationship to that inner voice. I'll give you an example. Last Wednesday and Thursday when they were tearing up my house, I was an emotional wreck. Like I just went through some really heavy stuff. There was a lot on my plate. And Wednesday I worked out, but Thursday I came to this crashing point internally where all I wanted to do was lay down and read a book. And I hadn't worked out and I made the decision that I wasn't going to because what I really wanted to do was read some personal development, feed my mind, and rest my body because I was exhausted from all of the emotions that I felt. So I did. I went to bed, I lay down, I read for like an hour, and then I went to sleep, and it was awesome. It was just a great experience for my body. And that guilt of, well, this is not my typical rest day, and here I am not working out, was gone because I understood that I was paying attention to a higher need that I had. And the higher need in that moment was to take care of my spirit and of my emotional self. So once you begin to develop this relationship with your body, all of a sudden, things like that, things like taking an extra rest day, it's okay. The guilt is gone because you understand that you're serving a higher purpose. You're serving a different part of your body, your emotional body, which also needs care, your mental body, which also needs care, your spiritual body, which also needs care. So you have to seek harmony. Yes. So the question really is to ask yourself, what in this moment is going to help me achieve greater harmony? And for me, most of the days, working out is that thing. It totally puts me in the zone. I feel great, I have energy, I feel strong, and that really, really empowers me. I love that feeling. But some days that's not going to be it. Some days it's going to be, I need to read more personal development, or I need to meditate more, or I need to spend time with a friend. Some days those things are going to take priority over lifting weights, and that's okay. Like, that is an okay situation, but I have to know that that's okay by knowing my body and knowing my relationship to all of my bodies, meaning physical, emotional, mental, spiritual. So those are 3 things I want you to start playing with. Number 1 is cleaning up your body and making your body. I gained so much knowledge from you. You're awesome. Oh, thank you, Jen. I love that. Thank you so much for hopping on and being a part of this conversation. It's, all of this is experience. It's not like I woke up one day and I was like, got it. Like, absolutely not. I have hit so much rock bottom in my life on every level, from my physical body, my emotional, my mental body. I have been in so many dark and scary places that just thinking about that still makes me get emotional. But I firmly believe that the reason that happened was so that I could be here talking to you guys and serving this information, so that if you're in that process, that you don't have to go through all of that, because you have a tool that can help you, that I can somehow help you avoid some of that, so that you can take this tool and use it. So if this is the first time you've ever heard of this concept of how to listen to your body, rewatch this video and really, really begin listening, because this is your tool. This is your guide through so many things in life. And if you can just make a little bit of time to clean up your body and to just spend some quality time with you, you will have so much knowledge at your fingertips about who you are and how to best live your life. It's unreal how much information you will have at your fingertips. So I hope this video helped clarify any questions you had, Beth. And I hope that all of you guys who hopped on, thank you so much for hopping on and for joining me in these videos. This conversation aspect really makes them the best. And I hope that it really serves you in whatever your goals are, wherever you're moving towards. And if you have any questions or comments, you're always free to comment or message me directly. Love you guys. Have a great one. Thanks so much for hopping on.